Let's bring in CBS News congressional correspondent Scott MacFarlane. He covers the White House for us today and has the latest on this potential ceasefire deal. President Biden expected to make an official announcement about the U.S. and France securing this ceasefire deal between Israel and Hezbollah. What else can we expect to hear from the president in this announcement, Scott?
Yeah, President Biden is here at the White House complex pending a trip expected this afternoon or this evening to Massachusetts for the holiday. And before he departs, we expect some announcement about the deal that's been tentatively agreed upon, though not necessarily past the finish line, between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon. We heard the Secretary of State moments ago say it's approaching the finish line, but not quite past the finish line. We'd expect the president to speak once the finish line is in the rearview mirror. All that being said, what Secretary Blinken is facing there is a series of questions that transcend the issue with Hezbollah, but about the G7 negotiations and discussions over a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. You also hear questions being asked to him about Ukraine and ongoing support for the war against Russian aggression. President Biden could speak to any number of those issues when he addresses the country later today, and if he faces questions later today here at the White House. But you really get a sense, don't you, of the sensitivity of this moment, the transition that we're in. You heard Antony Blinken say a couple things that were particularly prescient for this moment, that he has had conversations with Marco Rubio, Donald Trump's designate to be the next Secretary of State, his likely nominee. You heard him talk about public support of the battle in Ukraine, U.S. public support. Now, Donald Trump and Republicans have equivocated about their support of continuing to fund the war in Ukraine. So we'll see what else gets discussed as this day concludes here at the White House when President Biden speaks. But there are a whole lot of sensitive issues at this very sensitive moment.
Yeah, no question. It's important to note that nothing's official yet, but that's the expected outcome later on today. And Scott, we know that the conflicts between Israel and Hamas, Israel and Hezbollah, has played such a huge role for the past few years with the Biden administration. What does this moment mean for the president as he ends his term as president?
Certainly, President Biden would like to see this as an accomplishment for several different reasons. The loss of life is in the thousands because of this conflict between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon. But also, it would be quite a valedictory for his presidency, which has spent so much of its bandwidth trying to deal with these international conflicts from Ukraine to the Middle East. But also, at some point, they need to find funding for these battles, for these conflicts. And Congress has to mobilize and appropriate billions of dollars to continue to fund these efforts. Showing some success toward a ceasefire would certainly help in those efforts too.
I'm curious what you're hearing about the incoming Trump administration in regards to the conflicts in Israel and the ceasefire deal and what impact he could have on the future of that region.
Yeah, he campaigned on some bold promises that he could try to find an end to the road to these battles before he even takes office, that he could make phone calls or negotiate before Inauguration Day to bring these things closer to a finish line. That's a promise made at the campaign level, not something you've heard during the transition, and ultimately this is going to have to be something he navigates as soon as he takes the oath on Inauguration Day with the support of a Republican Congress that will have to fund whatever efforts Donald Trump tries to execute. This is a puzzle they're going to have to put together in short order.
And with this expected ceasefire deal, are you hearing anything how it's going to potentially impact the negotiations for a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas?
I think what's noteworthy in particular is the time frame here. This is a 2-month transition after the ceasefire is ordered, that some troops have to move out of place and new troops have to move in place. That timeline affords the outgoing Biden administration some bandwidth, doesn't it? Some runway to do negotiations on the other front, the front in Gaza with Hamas. And I think this may be a negotiating benefit, may not be, but the time frame is the most distinctive part of what we're getting in this early readout, that it's going to take time to execute, even though the ceasefire would take effect seemingly instantly upon its conclusion.
Right. The fighting would stop, but the withdrawal is going to take a little bit of time. Scott MacFarlane from the White House. Thanks so much, Scott.